Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef Basim. Akhund. We're back with a new episode from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very interesting. This recipe has originated from the city of Lahore and it is considered as one of the most spiciest recipes in Pakistan, yet it's really delicious. We're talking about Tawa chicken. This recipe was invented by this famous restaurant which is still located in the old city of Lahore, which is also known as Gawal Mandi. And if you go over there, you'll see this old shop which is almost 90 years old, and there'll be this person who will be making fried chicken or sauteed light fried chicken over a piece of very big metal sheet known as the tawa. The tawa we have today is almost, you could say, 1/4 of the size of the tawa. One time he has at least 4 big plates of tawas. Tawa is basically the locally assembled pan in which you fry the meat, which is basically made by the people who used to make swords back in the day or anything that was related to metal. So it's basically carved out of a steel sheet. They temper it on high heat and they convert it like this. You can even see the tawa I'm using. It has all these tempering marks because this is how it is made, and it's said that if you make it on this piece of equipment, it will be much more delicious than if you make it on a normal frying pan. So you can see there are a lot of ingredients over here. We will be making this recipe in 3 parts. So the first part of this recipe is marinating the chicken. For this recipe, you need to at least marinate the chicken for 12 hours, or you could say overnight. You put all the spices, you cover the chicken up, and then you let it rest in the fridge. And then you need to start cooking it, and then the last part is the garnishing part. So what are the ingredients of the recipe today? I'll let you know right now. So you need salt to taste, you need red chili powder, you need shredded ginger, shredded garlic. Then you will be needed some chicken, you will be needing some oil for frying, which will be related as per need. Why? Because it depends on what you're using for frying. If you're using a smaller thing, you'll require less oil. If you're using a bigger plate, it will require more oil. Then you need some green chilies, you need some yogurt, you need some spring onions. This recipe has a lot of spring onions, some coriander, you need tomatoes in it, you need some lemon, you need some black pepper, you need some chaat masala. What is chaat masala? Chaat masala is a very, you could say, not spicy, but it has this very distinct flavor which feels like you're having something which has a zing to it. That's how I can put it, because in Pakistan we call it khatta, and if you go towards the west, the only word that would explain this word khatta is called the zing flavor. Okay, then you need some garam masala. Everyone knows what is garam masala, and you need some onions. That is all what you need. First, what we'll do is we'll carve the chicken. We need to carve the chicken properly into 4 pieces. If you want to get the chicken which is already carved, you can do that also, but I was like, I'll do it in front of you. So we'll be requiring a whole chicken first, and then what we'll do is we will take this. So we'll make a cut over here and we'll just break the bone. Okay, so in Pakistan, or you could say for this recipe, we use the center part of the chicken also. Why? Because that gives you the flavor. So what we'll do is we shall just pass the chopping knife through it, and then we'll do it like this. Okay, I'm not using my chef knife, which is over here. Why? Because the blade is much more fine. If you use the chef knife to break a bone, you can also break the blade of the knife. So you will be using something which is heavier, like this. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to make basically 4 pieces. So 2 pieces which I've made are the leg pieces, and then the next pieces would be the chest piece. So I'll just cut through the chest meat over here. I'll pick it up like this, pass it down, and slowly and gradually just keep pressing it. As you can see, now we have this part. So this is the neck, and these are the 2 pieces of the chicken. So what I'll do is I'll make a cut over here and then over here. So what I'm doing is, for this recipe, I'm not using the neck of the chicken which goes into the dustbin, or if you have some pets at home, you can also give it to them. So now we have 4 pieces of chicken, 2 leg pieces and 2 pieces of the white meat. Okay, so now what you'll do is you'll make some light cuts on it. So as you can see, this is the thigh piece and this is the leg piece. The chicken is thoroughly washed, but it has some fat on it. So what we'll do is we'll just make a cut over here, and we'll make 2 cuts over here. So now I've made these cuts. I'll do it again. So on the leg you have to make 2 slight cuts, and on the thigh piece, which is basically this part of the chicken, the joint over here, you have to make more cuts. Okay, at the back I'll make one cut and one over here. Why? Because if you make too many cuts, what will happen is the masala will not cook properly and it will not go inside the chicken. Remember that. The second part is the chest meat. Now you need to see that there is more flesh over here, so you need to make the cuts a little deeper, and I'll just make 2 cuts, not more. Why? Because I want the chicken to cook, and if you make too many cuts, what will happen is it will overcook basically. If you cook the chicken more than the required time or on more heat, what happens is that the chicken gets really tough, especially the white meat of the chicken. Okay, this is done. Now what we need to do is we need to prepare the spice for the marination. For that, what I'll do is I'll pick up this board, I'll keep it at the back, I'll bring another green board in front of you, and I'll start making the marination mix for this recipe. Before that, I'm going to wash my hands. Now what you need to do is you need to make some ginger and garlic paste, which I'll teach you how to do it through shredding. You've seen it before also, I'll show it to you again. So what we'll do is we'll take some ginger and we'll just start shredding it. Turn it. And we need almost a tablespoon and a half. This is done. I'll take this part of the ginger, I'll keep it on the side, I'll shake it, and as you can see, we have to pull some. Why? Because there is some ginger attached to the grill always. Now what we'll do is we'll take around a tablespoon of garlic. For that, what you need to do is you need around, let's say, 5 cloves of garlic shredded. Why? Because we leave the end part on the side so that we do not hurt ourselves. Okay, so slowly and gradually just start shredding. So we have the ginger and the garlic over here, and now we'll just mix it up once. I'll keep this back in the sink. So now finally chop the ginger and garlic and keep mixing it together on the board. Now what I'll do is I'll pick up some salt. I'll add around half a teaspoon on the ginger and garlic only, and I'm going to mix it like this. This will bring out the water and it will make it into a nice mash. And as you can see, it's nicely converted into a shredded paste-like texture. Now what you need is you take some red chili, add it to the ginger garlic paste, mix it up on the board only. And here we have the paste ready. So now what you need a fresh bowl. I'll pick it up, keep it over here. Pick this, transfer it here. Take around, let's say, 3 tablespoons of oil. That's it. And mix it up. You need to mix it up with your hands. And as you can see, we have made this paste-like texture, in which we'll add around a 1/4 teaspoon of salt more. Now what you need to do is pick up the chicken and start pressing it in. So the cuts I've made, you'll add all this paste into the cuts firstly, and then you'll rub the rest over the meat. Turn it around. Repeat the same thing. And now just keep this on the side. Now you just have to coat the chicken and then let it rest for, let's say, at least 12 hours. And if you do not have time and if you're like in a hurry, you can give it an hour also, but trust me, the result and the flavor would be really different. Okay, the chicken is almost done. So now as you can see, the chicken is coated. I'll keep it on the side for at least, you could say, 5 minutes. Now why am I saying 5 minutes? The reason is because we're doing a show for you, so I do not have time. But if you have time, minimum should be 12 hours. And if you do not have time at all, like me, so at least give it an hour, please. Why? Because you want the spices to penetrate into the meat. Okay, we'll keep this on the side. I'll clean my hands and I'll tell you what to do next. So now we'll start with the cooking process. So what you need first is you need some oil. I'll add around a 1/4 cup first, and if it's less, which will be less, I'll add a little more. The 1/4 cup goes in, increase the heat to full, put this at the back, always maintain your station, keep it clean. I'll add some more oil. I'll start from the edges. And this is done. Keep this back. Now I'll bring the chicken in front of you. Chicken's over here. So what do we need to do first? The chicken needs to be cooked for at least 1 minute on each side, and then I'll let the chicken rest. Now why is that? Because after that I would like to cook some of the vegetables, convert it into this nice texture, and then I shall add all the other things. So once the pan comes to heat, which it will in around, you could say, 30 seconds, we'll add the chicken. So before that, what you need for this recipe is you need some green chilies, and I'll be using around 10 green chilies. Just take the stems out like this in front of you and keep them on the side and throw them in the dustbin. This is done. Okay, now I'll pick up my chef knife. I will just slit the green chilies like this into halves from the center. Quickly, we'll do it. And then we shall start cooking the chicken. Okay, now the next step is to cook the chicken. Okay, the chicken goes in. So first I'll add the leg pieces. Just reduce the heat a little bit because you don't want to like really cook it really fast. So just see, put the chicken, it's frying too fast. So what I'll do is I'll pick some oil, I'll add some cold oil to bring the temperature down, like around 3-4 tablespoons, and I'll place the chicken in. So as I told you, you need to cook the chicken for 1 minute on each side just for now. Chicken goes in, and whatever you see over here goes into the oil. This is the flavor, this is the ginger garlic which will bring out the aroma. So now what I'll do is I'll pick this up, spread the ginger garlic in between, and let this cook. So it's been 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, what I'll do is I'll change the side and then I'll show you what to do. So this was the first piece of chicken. We'll just change the side. It's gotten a nice brown color. Now this one, reduce the heat to medium. And let it cook for another 1 minute. So till the time this is cooking, what we'll do is we'll go for a short break, and once we're back from the break, I'll let you know what to do next. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine and I'm your chef, Basim Akhund. During the break, I just cooked the chicken for 1.5 minutes maximum. Why? Because the other side was a bit thicker when the chicken was resting in the oil. So what I did was all the garlic which was on the edges, I just pushed it in, and the stove is on pilot now, which means it's almost off, just maintaining the temperature. Over here you can see the chicken is completely raw right now, it's not cooked, and the reason is why? Because we will cook it after doing this step. So first what we'll do is we need to add the green chilies in. The green chilies need to be fried till they get a little light brown, you could say, on the outer side. This will give the flavor in the oil. So I'll just increase the heat to medium low now. So just have to look a little lower. Why? Because the pan is too big. So let it fry. Okay, till time this is frying, what we'll do is we need some other things. I didn't clean the board. Why? Because I had my green chilies over here placed for you. And now what we'll do is we'll pick up some tomatoes. So I'll pick up around, you could say, 6 tomatoes. And we shall prepare the paste. Okay, now let's reduce the heat again, and you want the green chili seeds to be placed in the oil, so turn them around so that we get that spicy element in the oil. Okay, so this is frying now. Now what you need to do is, first of all, transfer all the tomatoes over here and take the eye of the tomato out first. We will not chop the tomatoes. What I'll do is I'll show you just in a second. Okay, the cooking process of this recipe is a little different compared to all the other ones. Pick the tomatoes up, throw them in the dustbin, and now cut the tomatoes into half. That is it. I'm not saying quarters, just half. Why? Because this is what we shall do with the tomatoes, and I'll tell you how this recipe is cooked with perfection. Okay, now you need to pick up the tomatoes, place them on the edges like this, and increase the heat. So what we're doing is basically we're cooking the tomatoes on the outer edges in the oil, and they will start giving out their flavor in the recipe. So keep them on the side. And you want it to be partially submerged in the oil. Okay, now as you can see, we'll increase the heat. Why? Because you've added cold tomatoes on the pan, and what happens is that they bring down the temperature. So just coat it with the oil. That's what I'm doing. See, I'm just placing some oil on the top. What will happen eventually is when you put the oil on top, the skin will start coming off. So I'm just bathing them in hot oil like this in front of you. Just bathe them, and now goes in the chicken. You need to see that the oil should not fall outside, so you have to maintain that. I'll keep this back, and now back goes the chicken in. So add the chicken, and let it cook for at least 5 minutes each side now. So I'll pick this up, push the tomatoes at the back, make some space for the delicious chicken over here, and just push the chicken down wherever it's not settling in. So pick this up and just push it in. Okay, so now till the time this is cooking, what we'll do is we shall prepare all the other ingredients for this recipe. Pick up the chilies and push them over here. Let the tomatoes cook. They're cooking evenly. If you see some oil is less on the other side, just scoop it up and add it over there. This is all I'm doing. Okay, now the next step is you need to clear out a bit for that. You need some greens which will go in this recipe. I'll just take the ginger and garlic and put it on the side, and first we'll go in with the coriander. Okay, when you want the coriander for this recipe, you need the sticks. So we need around a cup of coriander. It's fresh. I've bought the whole bunch. So I'll just take out coriander equivalent to a cup, you could say. Okay, we'll take the sticks, but for that what you need to do is you need to partially take the sticks out because this part was in the soil, and throw it in the dustbin. The coriander needs to be thoroughly washed, and now you shall finely chop it. This is more than enough. You just need a cup. Do not over add the coriander. Why? Because it will dominate all the other flavors then. Okay, finally chop the coriander. Turn it around. And now add the coriander in the oil and on the chicken. Scoop it up, try not wasting it, and slide it in. Okay, I'm going to rinse my hands and then I'll just clear out the board, and then I'll tell you what to do next. So now what you need to do next is pick up the tomatoes and turn them around. You can see they're nicely charred, and this is what I wanted. Why? Because it will give the recipe a nice flavor. So I'm going to flip all the tomatoes, and now we'll flip the chicken also. The chicken needs to be flipped, and because it's the white meat, so I'll rest it like this so that it keeps cooking. Place it together and flip the leg pieces completely. Bring it in the center, bring the tomatoes in, and let this delicious recipe cook. Okay, the next step is we need to add some green onion. Okay, so when we say green onions, you can also call it spring onions, but the part where you have the root will go off. It's thoroughly washed. Pick this up and throw it in the dustbin. Slowly take all the roots off, slide it, and flick your knife in the dustbin. Okay, if you see some more roots on, just take them out. Why? Because it can be uneven at times. Okay, now what I'll do is, if I see any dead leaves, I'll just pull them out like this and we'll toss them in the dustbin again. Okay, this is done. Now what you need to do is go in with this and finely chop it. So very close. And this is the only part you need. You won't be using the green part of this ingredient. Keep it on the side. Do not waste it. You can use it in some other recipe also. Now pick this up and start adding it on the chicken. So what will happen is, you can see this constant steam coming up. It will cook in the steam and it will start going down and it will mix into the recipe. Pick this up, slide it in. And now we need some oil. So on the edges, we'll add a little bit of oil. And on the top as well. This is done. Pick up some salt. Place it on top. Why? Because you want it to sweat. We're seasoning the chicken and the tomatoes. And this is it. Now pick it up again, push this on the side and let the onions fall in. Okay, now you can see the tomatoes are basically going down. So what I'll do is, I'll start breaking them. Slowly and gradually. And now flip the tomatoes so that the pulp starts melting inside it. Now we'll just press it more down and just bring it a little forward. Now this needs to be cooked for 5 minutes. So till the time this is cooking, what we'll do is we'll clear up and then I'll tell you what to do next. So as you can see, I've shifted it over here, and now what I'll do is I'll start mixing all the tomatoes in. We want it to get nice and juicy. So pick the chicken up. Now this is what people do. Keep it on the side. It's almost 75% cooked. And now push all the spices, all the masala in the center. Increase the heat now to medium and start breaking it down. This is done. Now pick the chicken back and place it in. You want it to settle on the oil, so place it on top of the oil. Okay, now take some oil, shift it on the other side and let it cook for another 5 minutes. Reduce the heat to medium, and now what we'll do is we'll prepare the tadka. What is the tadka? Basically, it's a spice mix which I'll pour on top of the chicken separately. Okay, for that what you need is, you need a small frying pan. We'll pick it up, keep it here, increase the heat, and now add some spices. Okay, firstly what you need is, you need some oil. You need around 2 tablespoons of oil. That's it. I'll keep it on the side now. We'll pick up 1 onion. I did it on purpose. Slice it, take the root off, and throw this in the dustbin. You want it finely sliced. This is done. The onion goes into the oil, but before that, you'll add some garam masala. You We'll add some black peppercorn. Shake it up. Let it cook. And now add the onions. Transfer them. And mix them up. Pour all of this onto the chicken. And now we'll mix it up even more. I'll pick this up. And let the onions cook. Just make these small incisions in the chicken, then it will cook till the core properly. And as you can see, it is frying nicely and thoroughly. You need some yogurt, around 2 tablespoons. Whatever you've done, take it on the side and pour it in the center. Pick it up, keep it on the side, and now mix it. Cook it for another 2 minutes and then we shall dish it out. So till the time this is cooking, we shall clean up and show you the final look of the recipe. So as you can see, today's recipe is ready. So please let me tell you one thing. This isn't burnt. This is called the char of the recipe. In French, you call it souk. It's all the flavor. You will have it, you will enjoy it, and trust me, this is a treat. Okay, in the end, what you need to do is you need to add the chaat masala. Chaat masala is basically the zing I told you about. That's a zing masala, you could say. Place it on top. Take some lemon, squeeze it, and then it's ready to be served. I hope you liked today's episode. I'll see you in another episode of Indus Cuisine. Take care of yourself, lovely people. Bye-bye.